Kelly. Welcome back. It
I
feels
know.
like it has been an age since our last Soul Talk session, doesn't it?
So many weeks.
But I know, but here we are, and we've both been going through other things, dealing with other things, but it has never been our intention to stop recording these sessions. And it's interesting, isn't it, how just life and other things can get in the way of the things that we intend to do at times. And that is the theme of our show today, because yeah, we get too many distractions and we can lose that sort of focus, can't we? And get pulled in too many different ways and start to feel a bit disconnected from all those things that we kind of really wanted to be doing. And so today's theme, appropriately enough, is all about reconnecting with yourself and getting yourself gently but firmly back on track. And we're showing up today, and this is us getting ourselves back on track by getting back into our recording schedule. So from now on, it is our intention that we do these recordings and get these episodes out and answer your questions on a much more regular basis.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Kate. That's our commitment to each other and everyone watching.
The questions do come through, and we do have that intention and that sense of responsibility to our audience, and to anyone watching at any time, to help just answer those common questions and address those experiences that so many of us go through when we're on this awakening journey, regardless of whereabouts we are on our own path, whether it's something where we're just newly coming into it, or whether we're much further down that. There's common themes and experiences that all of us come up against in our own way, and we're just, yeah, sharing our own personal experiences. And hopefully the idea is to help people as they to know that you're not alone on this, far from it, and that what you're going through, others are going through too, and we can all help and support each other on this beautiful journey of awakening and becoming back to ourselves, because that's what the awakening journey is. It's really that self knowledge and that remembrance. And when it comes to remembrance of self, then that's your area of expertise, isn't it, Kelly?
It is, yes. While we have been a little bit quiet behind the scenes, we've both been working on not only ourselves, but our bigger mission. Yeah, and I've created a remembrance movement. It started out as a small space on Facebook, the Remembrance Space. It's all about reconnecting to your inner guidance and coming back to that wholeness, so that we aren't constantly having to go through these healing loops or looking externally, especially with the external collective chaos that we're calling it. It can really affect our nervous systems and we don't quite know why. We can't reconnect to ourselves, and it's happening at a much bigger level. And you're right, it isn't until you start mentioning things to other people, you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, I haven't been able to even sit at my laptop for 3 days, and you're like, oh goodness, it must be like the energy. So it is good to have a space where you can talk about it. So yeah, it started off on the Facebook
Yeah.
group and then it's grown. So all the links are in, I'll put them in the show notes. But yeah, just if anybody wants to go and find out more about that, then yeah, you're more than
Yeah,
welcome to
please,
come and join us.
please do, because it's just so relevant and so timely at the moment. And it was while you were in that remembrance space that you received the download for the theme of this episode today, which is the reconnecting to yourself. And that came through to you just last week, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we've put the question out there, and we've actually received a wonderful question that just really sums up, what many of us are experiencing, and that I feel like everybody watching is going to really relate to that question on some
Yeah.
level or another. But before we get into it, let's just open the space,
I know I feel like I
and
need to have
then
a huge cough, so excuse me everybody, but it's definitely we're having experiencing throat clearings and lots of things as well. So It's when you become more into speaking your truth, then that can happen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we both received an activation last night.
Yeah.
So having tox symptoms, those clearing symptoms, because this is always an ongoing process, isn't it? And as we move up to another level, there's always that clearing to be done. But getting a little ahead of ourselves, so I'm just going to
Yeah.
light the candle. Oh, it helps if you hold the lighter the right way around, doesn't it? I set myself on
This
fire.
might
Oh
sum up
no, no,
you.
no, no, I just, just had it
Oh
the wrong way. Sorry, everyone. I just had it the wrong way around again.
no.
Both ends look the
First of all,
same.
are you okay? Did you hurt yourself?
Yes, no, no, it didn't. No, it didn't actually catch me. I felt the heat and it gave me a little shock, but no, I'm perfectly okay.
And
So
we'll
let's
just
just
do a little
take a moment.
disclaimer, anybody that's watching, because of the activation that Kate and I both received from the amazing Bianca Zarb, our nervous systems are just needed a little bit of recalibration to come back. And
This morning.
yeah, so
Yeah,
there might be
yeah.
some little blips and bloopers, whatever they want to call them along the way. But yeah, we just decided that we were still going to go ahead with the recording because that's what it's all about, being raw and honest with.
Yeah. Well, that was blooper number one. Kate virtually sets fire to herself. But so yeah, opening the space by lighting the candle. I just hold it up. And there's something symbolic in terms of lighting the candle. The candle is representing the light that we hold within this space, the light that we bring in and that we share with everyone viewing today. And I just want to set an intention as we open this space now. So I'm just asking if you're watching, if it's safe to do so, if you'd like to just take a moment to close your eyes or just lower your gaze. Taking a deep breath in through the and sighing it out through your mouth. Now, as we open this sacred space today, we call in the highest light of source, the purest frequency of love, truth, and wisdom. May everything that is spoken, felt, seen, or shared here in this space flow through that light and be for the highest and greatest good of all. May our words uplift, may our hearts stay open, and our energy remain grounded and protected. We ask that only energies of love and divine truth be present with us today, guiding the conversation and those that are listening now and always. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Kate, for that opening. So, reconnecting with yourself. How have you been doing, Kate? What's been going on for you?
Oh, well, as you know, Kelly, I actually was doing a little part-time job for a while there, and that ended at the end of February. And then I went away on holiday for 2 weeks and just had a total kind of downtime. And then since I've come back, it's been energy has been kind of coming in waves, I've noticed. And so I've had those days where I'm getting the downloads and I'm full of that enthusiasm and I feel like I know where I'm going and what I need to do and being productive. And then sort of hitting another sort of period of like almost like stagnation, just struggling to have that focus or to feel that motivation, and getting involved in lots of displacement activities, which can be very easy to do, and the things that kind of give me the illusion of feeling productive. So, going helping a friend with something, doing the laundry, doing some cooking, some baking, going out for walks, which is great, going out for walks and obviously getting fresh air, exercise, but it's a grounding activity for me normally. And what I suddenly realized, well, it came through to me again from my guys, is yes, I was going for walks, but I wasn't being mindful or present on those walks. And so they weren't having the grounding effect that they would normally have, because I was like just totally in my head. So, not taking in my surroundings, spending some time in nature, but not connecting with it in any way, shape, or form, and kind of just getting myself from A to B, like going on an errand or something, and not and just not getting that lovely grounding energy. And so thinking to myself that, oh, I'll have the walk, I'll come back, and then I'll settle in and get focused, and then not really getting a little bit frustrated when that wasn't actually happening. So yeah, my guides came in yesterday to show me what was actually doing that wasn't grounding and wasn't being present. So yeah, I was getting some exercise and some hopefully reasonably fresh air, but that's as far as it went. It wasn't reconnecting me, it wasn't grounding me.
Yeah.
And it's something that, as you said, is yourself, a lot of people are sharing with you, again, in that remembrance space and things, that's what they're experiencing at the moment. And there is so much going on, isn't there, with the energies and the upgrades, and everything that's happening. And as we become, increasingly sensitive to this and to the energy, it affects us without us necessarily realizing that. And then when we don't have those clear intentions and set them, then influences are going to come in to try and take us away from that, and trying to take us away from our true purpose and what we're meant to be focusing on. And this is what seems to be happening on quite a large scale at the moment.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me, switching from having that structure of your part-time job, which by the way was like getting up at what I call the crack of dawn, like you were up literally before the birds, getting your shift in, and then it was beautiful because you had the rest of the day to sort of yourself, so to speak. But it was a long period of time you did it for, and you needed that holiday to reset. And then you came back, you were like, I don't know why I can't get into my own business. And again, you got the information that, well, if you turn up and graft for somebody else and you're happy to do that,
Exactly.
you didn't miss a shift. Your
Yeah.
your productivity, because I know they were tracking that your employer was like off the charts. You were like 100%, given 110%, but you're like, well, you don't do that for yourself. So you had to have a little bit of a check in with that, didn't you? Like, oh yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
not
Yeah. And it is
that's me.
it is the most, it does take it, to come from a guide or to come from someone else, whatever, wherever your connection is. It's not about external validation. It's about needing to have things reflected back to you sometimes, and reflected back, with love, without judgment, but like here it is, this is what we are observing. And yeah, that is exactly what was going on. And it's good to be able to sort of hear that and be able to accept that and reflect on that, and feel the truth of it without getting all kind of defensive, and just letting go of that frustration, not getting, instead of getting annoyed with myself, it's actually about, okay, isn't it great that I'm at this level now where I can receive that guidance, and where I have, communities and friends and support circles around me. Whereas even if it wasn't coming through from my own guides, I have people who would reflect that back to me, and do so with love and with honesty and from the heart. And so this is why it's just so wonderful to be part of these, like, spiritual communities where everybody is really supporting each other, where it's not, we're not competing. We're not here to compete or to compare or to judge. We're here to literally support and uplift, and reflect back to each other in that way. And so I really just feel now that I've got that sort of sense of purpose back, and I can sort of, take that pause, take that breath, and come back to myself, and listen to my heart and go, okay, there's I've got so many ideas, so many things coming up for me. Um, but I'm just going to listen with my heart now and feel into what feels right for me. What do I want to do next? Where do I want to go? You know, what feels fully aligned for me and my purpose, and just sort of bringing it back. And I think these episodes that we go through, sometimes when we're being distracted or we're not settling, you know, it's not always about not being grounded, or it's not always even about influences, external influences. It can be a case of just going through a bit of an energetic recalibration, and a bit of an upgrade, and it's like a death and rebirth situation, as Bianca was explaining to us last night. It's just as one phase is coming to an end, it does feel really uncomfortable, doesn't it? It does feel like, oh, what's going on, and why, you know, why am I not doing the X, Y, and Z? And it could be just so easy to fall into that kind of low mood, self-doubt, frustration with the self, blaming yourself, feeling inadequate. Oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this, all that? Instead of just getting into trust and just feeling into it and asking, you know, what's actually really going on here? Not what's wrong with me, because there's nothing wrong. You know, it's just what's actually going on here, and how is this helping me?
Yeah,
I
and I
think
think
that's
that's
a
a
much
really
better way of
important
coming
point,
at it.
because I think, especially when you've got yourself to a stage where you have done some inner work and maybe you've had some healing sessions or some Reiki or something, and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling great, feeling really connected, and everything is working and clicking. And it can be even more frustrating when that suddenly stops, because you feel like, well, hang on a minute, I was on a bit of a trajectory, I could see progress, and maybe that is a guide that you had your connection with, and they were, you know, guiding you forward. You might have some cards that you like to work with, and you're like, no, this isn't gelling. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a negative experience, does it? Because like you say, we do then spiral.
Yeah,
About this on other episodes. It can literally just be something as simple as you're having an energetic upgrade. And sometimes it coincides with like some illness, like maybe a sore throat, or we know people in our communities like tooth aches and things, like getting to the root causes of these issues, and really, like as Kate said, sitting and saying, okay, what is actually going on here? Am I blocking myself, or am I being guided to pause? And you'll get to understand the difference in those feelings, because you know
yeah.
you're blocking yourself, because you're like, yeah, I'm definitely baking because I don't want to get like I just got face going live
Yeah.
day, or
Yeah,
we all
yeah,
know when we're doing procrastinating, don't we? But when it's
yeah,
like, oh my
absolutely.
goodness, I'm constantly hitting a brick road here, then that's a really interesting time to just take a breath and just go, oh, okay, and then it all becomes clear on the other side.
Yeah.
That's what I was being prepared for, and that's just the expansion. And
Yeah,
I was going to say, unfortunately, because it isn't unfortunate, it's exciting. That is the energy that we're in. Things are happening quickly, and I can talk about that maybe when we approach Ruth's question soon. But
yeah.
it's like you think
It-
you're heading in one direction, you've got it all set, and then bam, no, we're going this way now. And it is this journey, because we are in the horse energy, as we've discussed. But we don't want to be wild horses, do we? Like where we're scattered and
yeah.
we need to ground
Uh,
that.
oh, yeah. And that is another part of this journey, because I think it's just a very human thing to want to kind of quantify ourselves and box ourselves in and define ourselves in some way. And that we feel that we have to do that in also to make ourselves relatable to others. And yet we're all of us these magnificent, amazing, incredible divine beings, you know, beyond anything that our human brains can really imagine. But that's what the throat's getting the interference now. The throat, that's what this is. You know, this journey of remembrance is just stepping back into and learning how to embody all that we actually truly are, and letting go of all of those constraints that have been imposed upon us from like the moment we were born, and all of these, you know, conditioned beliefs and everything that we've sort of grown up with and lived with, which, you know, we accept as truth. We don't even question them, and yet they're not the truth, you know, and we don't need to box ourselves in. But I think that's what happens as soon as we kind of start to do that. And an example for me was like, oh yes, I'm a Reiki master. I'm here to be a Reiki master, and that's my path and that's my purpose, and that's it, you know. Hooray! Oh, I know what I am. I'm a Reiki
Sorted.
master. Yeah, it's yeah, you know, people have heard of Reiki even if they don't know what it is, or you know, it's like yes, that's something quantifiable, um, that I could just put out there and go, that's who I am. That's what I do. And like, you know, it was like, no, that's just a stepping stone, Kate. That's just a little stepping stone on your journey. That is not who and what you are. You are so much more than that. But that, realizing that, and sort of hearing that and receiving that in various different ways, through channeled by other people, you know, through guides, through my own guides, um, there was there was some resistance in me to that. There was resistance into expanding it because I just wanted to be somewhere like, yeah, get comfy. This feels, you know, this feels good. This feels aligned. This is something I can, you know, explain to other people. I just want to kind of stay here in this little rut, and no, no, not having it. So there's that, yeah, there's that kind of bit of resistance, a bit of grief because you're just kind of starting to be adopt a persona, or you know, identify with something, and it's like no, you just need to let that go now. And it's this constant cycle of like death and rebirth, not you know, as in just like a shedding, a letting go, a sort of moving on. And so that in between stage as we go through that is that real uncomfortable place to be, and it does feel tough when you're going through it. But if we can just remember that this is where the magic is happening, this is the transition, this is the up leveling, you know, and it's going to take us somewhere amazing as we just like grow into ourselves and into our magnificence and learn more about ourselves and spread even more light out into the world. Then, you know, let's get comfortable with the uncomfortable. You know, let's just
And
remember what's actually really happening.
yeah, I'm laughing away to myself because obviously we are still processing the session that we had with Bianca last night. And I've been guided to help people with the overwhelm and the disconnect from the external. So that could be social media. And as you were speaking there, it's like so we actually need to disconnect to reconnect, because you just said we put ourselves in these boxes. This is our persona. Oh, I'm a Reiki master now. That is a title, a heading. But if we can disconnect from those labels
Yeah,
that we put on ourselves, mostly because we feel we have to, so that society can accept us. So, oh, how are
yeah.
you? How are you? Nice to meet you. What do you do? Well, let me tell you, sit down because there's an essay.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you got
Important
half an
mention
hour
here.
at
Yeah.
least?
Whereas we're talking about,
Yeah.
I teach Reiki, I'm a Reiki master. Oh, amazing. I do X, but it isn't about that now. We can have lots of
No.
different hats, and we need to stop allowing what we perceive to be the path or the
Yeah.
journey, because it's ours and we get to choose. And like you said there, Kate, that is the magic in
Yeah.
the whole process. So we can turn it into a positive spin. And as I'm speaking that,
Yeah.
I'm feeling the joy of that. You know, that makes us
Yeah.
smile, doesn't it? Rather than
Yeah.
this slog of,
Exactly.
oh, who am I? What do I need to do? What's my purpose?
Yeah.
Like, we all ask ourselves those questions, and it's okay, but try and see the light in it rather than it being
Yeah.
something that you're dragging along behind you.
Yeah. And we are always constantly, you know, seeking that kind of outward validation and the outward advice and everything. And to some extent, obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. We all along this path meet those people who are here to be our guides, to be our leaders as we step up into our own leadership role. We have those people that who come into our lives for a specific reason to help to reflect things back to us, and to help us move on. But the thing that we need to remember is we all have free will. We all have that sovereignty over ourselves, and we do hold the answers within us. And we need to remember that the answers are not held by everyone else, they are within us. But sometimes it's just needing that someone else to help us go within and find the answers, and to help us like process that and, like I say, reflect it back to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we were having a little chat when we were, preparing for today's session about, coming back to that sense of disconnection. Because obviously I've just been describing what it feels like for me, but there are some certain kind of symptoms, if you want to call it that, of when we're going through this period of disconnection, which is a sign of, transition, as we've just said. So it might be helpful for people if we just kind of touch on what some of those kind of common experiences and symptoms might feel like, might look like, especially for those, anyone watching who are, again, like I say, sort of newer to awakening, just getting curious and just sort of leaning into it. So it could be like, it's like, say, just it's kind of feeling a bit meh, like they say, like sort of flat, can't get motivated, sort of feeling a bit like going through the motions really, but the kind of the energy, the passion, the joy, whatever, just isn't there. Trying to kind of push themselves to do things, forcing themselves to do things, doing things from a place of I have to do this, not I want to do this. Just somehow always be, filling up your time, being busy all the time, but just sort of feeling unfulfilled. Not getting the things done that you want to get done. Or just allowing other people to kind of, to take up your energy and your time, and sort of giving it all to them instead of like, concentrating on what you want to really be doing. Again, like I mentioned before, it's all that outward validation thing, and this is not to kind of make anyone feel bad about looking for guidance and things. There's a difference in terms of seeking guidance and being validated. Quite a subtle difference there, which I think you can probably explain better than I can, Kelly.
Yes, so I think people are experiencing lots of tricky life situations, and it's very easy to, I need to be fixed. So it's like, if I have this session, that's it. I'm gonna feel the mental health issues will go away, and like that's me back to on track. But I think you're putting a lot of sort of focus on that other person to do the work like for you, rather than helping support you to understand the route. And it's like a journey that you would go on together with that person. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to put a label on any healing session, because all of them are amazing and we've all experienced some fabulous healing. And I used to do a lot of that myself, and I've received it. And it is part, you need to see it as a stepping stone, not as like the end result. So if you
Yeah.
feel that any time you're like desperate to have that connection, and it's like a need, because this is going to be like all singing or dancing, I think that is when you need to say, okay, what am I hoping to achieve from this? Because it's taking ownership and meeting it halfway.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
moment that will take the edge off of, like, I know you had a client reach out recently, Kate, that was experiencing quite a lot of disruption in their lives, and they knew straight away, because they'd been in your space before, that I know who I need to speak to. I need to speak to Kate. And you talked about issues together, didn't you? And in that moment,
Yeah.
she knew that that would help an element of what was going on. But you delved in it with it together, didn't you? You didn't claim,
Yeah.
oh yes, definitely book, because that will all go away, you know. That you
Yeah.
don't have to worry
Yeah.
about that ever again.
Yeah.
So I think that might
Yeah.
be the subtle difference in that, having beautiful sessions for relaxation, like I love a sound bath. I just think they really give me that space just to come away from the home, because I work from home. The guy in my area does a Wednesday afternoon nap, and oh my goodness, like I feel like I've been to a spa and I'm there for an hour.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't rebook. I'm not there every week. I just know that when I'm needing that little boost and just to have that recalibration, and I get so many downloads when I'm in that space, and that's just a way to use sound healing. Some people might need a massage or go for a swim. So it's just, yeah, being
Yeah.
open is probably how I would
Yeah.
describe it. And
And I think,
not
yeah, I think when we're, sorry, go on, darling.
just not uh I don't know, it's very difficult, because when you're in a crisis, so I know when I set up the Remembrance Space on the Facebook group, I was very clear in the guidance and the joining, and I asked certain questions like, you do understand this is not in replace of getting proper support. And I know a lot of us in this space say that to people, like, you know, and it isn't a fixing tool, and we're not here, like, we're here to support, and we're here to discuss, and we're here to come together. But even when I do the circles now, which is a bit more intense once a month, again, one of the guidelines is like, you're not to offer your opinion if somebody opens up and says something and is experiencing a situation. It's discouraged to say, oh, well, I think you should do X. It's
Yeah.
acknowledging that that person's going through that, and then just talking through, how do they feel about that, what do they think they're going to do next, that type of thing. It's a completely
Yeah.
different energy. It's more
Yeah.
empowering, definitely.
Absolutely is, because validation, thinking about it, is like you say, it's like somebody, you want somebody to say to you, oh, you need to do X, Y, Z. This is what you need to do, and that, and then you will be okay. Or what you are feeling is this. Or, you know, or just say, yes, you know, you are deserving. Or somebody else, yes, you are worthy. Yes, you know, you can do this. Whereas it's great, you know, to hear that from somebody else. It is encouraging, as well. But if you're not feeling it, if you're not if it's not really resonating, then you're just going to constantly re-seek that validation over and over and over again, because it ultimately it has to come from within. You have to feel this and know it and trust it and believe it. You know, you have to embody it, that yes, this is who I am. Yes, this is what I offer. Yes, this is what I can do. Yes, I am worthy. You know, yes, I am. Yes, I have all of the skills and life experience. Because there's another way in which we compare, isn't it?
Yeah.
We compare and we look at everybody else's lists of how many courses they've done and how many modalities they're offering and how many qualifications they've got and everything. And we kind of discount all of the life experience and all of the intuition that we bring to the table at times. And it's not about a list, it's about the energy, it's about the story that you're able to share to those people that resonate with it. And that's what we do. We all attract those people who, you know, resonate with our energy, our vibration, those who are going through something that we similar to what we've been through in the past, so that we can hold them in that space and help them through that, because we've literally walked that walk
Yeah.
and come out the other side of it. So getting back to, you know, this, what it feels like, this disconnection again, um it can be like, it can be times where, you know, just life gets a bit life does genuinely get busy, where it gets loud and there's lots of other things going on externally, and therefore, you know, we're kind of dealing with all of that, and we stop making time and space for ourselves,
Mm.
and we're prioritizing everyone else and everything else first, above what, you know, we want to do, above ourselves and about what we want to do and what we're here for. Um, and another way of getting disconnected, again, it's just this label thing. It's this putting ourselves in a box, and it's also, you know, it happens more when we're seeking that validation because other people will tell us what we ought to be, but that's something that they're comfortable with. It could be something that they're projecting onto us, you know. But we always have to, if we're not sort of leaning into it and feeling it and going, well, is that my truth? Does that feel right for me? And so we can just accept somebody else's view and opinion of us. And as we, you know, grow and change and transition and up level, it can make some of the people around us very, very uncomfortable because they can sense, if not actually see, that we're changing and that we're sort of, you know, getting in touch with ourselves, that we're speaking our truth, that we're prioritizing ourselves, that we're, you know, doing all of these things. And it can make them get uncomfortable and defensive and therefore attack, you know. It's to start to
Oh,
criticize and try to pull us back into a version of ourselves that they feel more comfortable around. So that can happen too. And then if we're going through one of these little sort of transition periods, we could potentially have a little wobble and be influenced by that and go, oh, well, you know, because life would just be easier if I shrink myself back down and I fit into that box again, or you know, this is, or they have those conditions beliefs that's come from, you know, parents, peers, teachers, whoever, that, you know, this is how I should be. This is how to be acceptable and how to fit in with society's norms, whatever, you know, our perception of normal is, you know. And again, normal will vary from person to person, family to family, town to town, culture to culture, you know. But it's you know, it's, there's no such thing as normal. It's
No,
very
and it's
subjective.
very difficult, isn't it, Kate, when you're the first one to
Yeah,
break that norm? You know, we call it generational cycle breakers. So yeah, if you're the first one stepping up in the family to say, I'm not doing it this way, and it's happened for generations. They're like, sorry, excuse me, what is happening here? Now everybody starts to, you know,
yeah,
wonder what's going
yeah,
on. Are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm absolutely fine, thank you. But I've decided that that doesn't work for me. And it can cause
yeah,
friction.
yeah. Because for a lot of people, it can be that the 9 to 5, you know, working for an employer doesn't resonate anymore, because, you know, it's not actually a normal way of being, you know, working, you know, Monday to Friday or whatever it is, from that time to that time, you know, in the same way, at the same level of productivity through all of the seasons, through all of the years, through all of everything else that's going on in life. And to be expected to just sort of maintain that, it isn't actually normal. I mean, it's what we accept as normal and as standard and the way things are, but it isn't, you know, it doesn't reflect how we are, how we thrive, how we function, how we operate, you know, at our most natural level. It doesn't reflect the biorhythms and the seasons and the lunar cycles and all of the things by which we are influenced and governed by, you
And
know,
that's
at a,
another
at a sort of
example, Kate.
fundamental, yeah, energetic level.
I know, sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt. It's
so
another example of how disconnected we've become at a bigger level than just what's in your own sort of.
yeah, globally disconnected as a race, as a human race, very disconnected when you look back. And that's why I think there's so much, you know, interest and fascination in, like, you know, paganism and things, and, you know, and with like sort of indigenous cultures and their practices and beliefs, because that is more in tune with how we operate and how we're meant to be. You know, because we're here to be in balance with nature and with the seasons and things, but we kind of disregard that. You know, even eating foods out of season and, you know, all of these things, we don't kind of function at that, in that very kind of natural rhythmic way, and we don't honor ourselves when we need to rest, when we need to take a break. We just push through, fit into a schedule, fit into a box, and then get surprised when it all falls apart. We can't do that anymore. And the question we go straight to is, what's wrong with me?
Right.
That's our, you know, that's the knee-jerk reaction, is what's wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong with me. It's just sort of breaking out of that. We're breaking out of the mold. We're starting to see things as they really are and how they ought to be, and knowing, this isn't right. This doesn't work for us anymore. We need to be more attuned and more in rhythm and more in touch with ourselves, and to really truly thrive and survive, and to have that unity and harmony, that should be the normal way of things. We think, conflict, war, disharmony, highlighting differences, whether that's through patriotism or whatever, or through, gender or orientation or beliefs, religion, whatever. We look for those differences and what separates us. What we don't focus on is what unites us and what is common, and that fact that we are all souls here having a human experience, and that we are all the same in that respect. And I think that that's part of this awakening journey, is coming back to that and remembering that and recognizing that no, all of these differences are just a way of controlling us, basically, and keeping us down, making us focus on these things that actually aren't even remotely important and really don't matter at all.
Yeah, and it's a really important. I think that affects most of the population, Kate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I feel like I went off on one there a bit. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so these are just some examples of what disconnection can feel like, and also there are times when life really does get genuinely challenging, and I'm not trying to sort of, play that down, or, or not to recognize that there are times when life is really, really challenging, really, really tough. And that's when we can get very disconnected, because we just go into pure survival mode, and we kind of numb ourselves and shut down, just as a way of getting through. But whenever that crisis has passed, it can take quite some time to then reconnect, because we have just gone into survival mode at that point. So that's another thing, how that disconnection can show up in our lives. And again, as I was just saying, it's that outgrowing. We're just outgrowing the old version of ourselves, and stepping into something new, and the new is unknown, and so that again feels really uncomfortable, doesn't it? Even when those changes are, we know, positive, and they know we are growing, and that we know we're moving out of situations that don't serve us, that don't nourish us, but there's there's that familiarity to it. So it's a safety thing, and it's where the ego mind steps in, because the ego, the only function it serves is to try and keep you safe, and it's your ego's perception of what actually is safe. Safe for some people could actually be staying in an abusive situation because it's terrible, but they don't believe they're going to make it on their own if they get out of that abusive situation, or they don't know how they're going to survive if they get out of that. So they stay because it's horrible, it's terrible, but it's familiar and therefore safe. And that's how people get trapped in these situations. Not just also, the mind tricks that are being played on them, and the conditioning that they're being subjected to. Their own brain can tell them that, like, oh well, at least at least you know what to expect here, kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Whew.
Lots to process, but yeah, I think that gives a really good overview of how we can get disconnected, and how it can show up in lots of different ways. So you're saying the lethargic, the fatigue, the meanness, like they're all sort of little signs.
Yeah. I love that meh. Meh is a great word, I think, because it does sum up an awful lot of things.
In this house, it's like can't be asked. CBA.
CBA, yeah. Yeah. Or it's like when somebody asks how you're feeling, and you tend to go, "Oh yeah, fine, thanks." People go, "No, actually, I feel kind of meh." But we don't tend to say that, do
No,
we?
we don't need to
And
stay in that space, so we can yeah,
uh,
just support out.
yeah,
Hopefully, even just watching an episode like this, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get in front of this, and I'm going to get to the root of what's actually going on. But you can always message. There's an email. Reach out to Kate
yeah,
if there's a specific
yeah,
situation that you're facing. We're more than happy to chat, as an
yeah.
offline
Just yeah,
type thing.
we're happy to hold space and to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Um, the other form of disconnection that we experience on this awakening journey, on this spiritual journey, as it were, is that we can become disconnected from source, from that divine energy, from whatever you want to call it, the God spark, from our true selves, from our souls, even not sort of obviously like not severed from it in any way, but just not being in tune with it, not being, in flow with it. And that can again happens at different periods along this journey. And it's like we kind of turn our back on it all for a while. So we can just be like, oh yes, this is me, this is my path, this is my purpose. I'm on this amazing awakening journey. I'm discovering who I really am. And oh yes, I've got my crystals and I've got my cards and I go to my sound baths and I do this and I do that. And we're starting to like listen to our intuition, and then all of a sudden, something can just happen and we're not tuning anymore. We might have all the bells and whistles to show for it, like the spiritual, window dressing. But if we're not connected in, if we, if we're not connecting into that, guys, into source and everything, into that energy, then yeah, everything gets harder. Life's not so much in flow. It starts to feel a struggle. We start to get disheartened. We start to feel disappointed. It all just seems just too hard and too difficult because we're not recognizing or understanding that that's what's happening, that we're not connecting in. And then it just seems like too much effort or too difficult, or like I hear some people say, I've lost my connection, you know, and it isn't lost. It's just that something has shifted, and we might think or pay lip service to the fact that we're trying to connect, and we'll find, people say things, and I've said it myself, like, oh, I can't meditate at the moment, or I can't do this, or oh, I don't, I can't seem to concentrate. But it shouldn't be effortful. And it's not necessarily a case of having to sit down and listen to a guided meditation, or to sit, it could just be taking just a few moments in the day to just come back to yourself, to just take a pause and just, even put your hand on your heart. If that, I find it helps, to place my hand here on the energetic heart, the center of the chest and everything, and just pause for a moment and just breathe and just connect in. And it's like, how am I actually really feeling right now? What stories am I telling myself? Let's look past those stories. What are the thoughts that I'm having that I'm not really aware of, that are creating the the emotions and that are creating the behaviors? Let's just take a little moment. And that's how you reconnect to yourself, because your guides, sources of, is everything.
It's not
Your
gone
guides are
anywhere.
always there. Nobody disappears. They don't go off on holiday and then come back again. They're not too busy to,
No.
to be there for you.
But I think we get
So
into
it's
the habit of always wanting an outcome with our meditations, don't we? It's like, I'm going to meditate so that I can be told X, or I'm thinking about doing this, I'll meditate, I'll find out if that's a yes or a no. And then suddenly it's like, well, why aren't you telling me why I'm not getting the answers? But don't have it, like I would always recommend, don't go in with an intention, just allow it to be. And as I've practiced that, honestly, the most magical things that you hadn't even contemplated come through, and you're like, it just opens up a completely new world. And I'm not saying it's like, it's just that stillness, that nothingness. There's nothing to answer, nothing to address, and then it just lands, and you're like, yeah, that's it. That's what I
Yeah.
needed. But because you've not forced, and we had to be reminded of that last night, didn't we, Kate? We got a little bit of a slap on the wrist because we are expanding and we wanted to reach a wider audience, should we say, and come out of our comfort zones a little bit. And we're like, oh yeah, we're just pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. We got told like we're not here to push. Why are you pushing? And we were
Yeah.
like, oh yes, we hadn't thought about it like that. Like just
Yeah.
be open and allow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, and we do that, but then we forgot. So we've been reminded, and we're now back on track.
Yeah.
Now the magic
Yeah.
can happen, and
It,
it's amazing when it does.
yeah, and it's always like that, oh, light bulb moment, isn't it? When somebody just kind of just kind of hold you there for a moment and just it's like listen to the language that you're using, listen to the words and the meaning and the terminology, because we just say these things without sort of thinking. But what we say, yeah, words have energy, and we have a meaning attached to those as well. And so, we feel that, at a subconscious level, we feel that in the body, we feel it at an energetic level. The words will resonate and everything. So even when we're saying something a bit lightheartedly or kind of like jokingly, the body won't necessarily recognize the difference. The subconscious definitely won't recognize the difference. It won't know, like, oh, she doesn't mean it really. So it'll just sort of accept it, and it does affect, and it'll just say, oh yeah, I've been saying so much, oh, I'm pushing myself out of the comfort zone, oh, I'm doing TikTok videos, oh, I'm going live, oh yes, I'm getting used to, I'm pushing myself. And it's like, no, that's always going to be hideously uncomfortable, isn't it? And we think that's how it's meant to be. We
Yeah,
think, oh, I'm not going to, and it's just like,
can't
well, hang
grow,
on, no,
can't grow,
yeah, no,
not
that's,
pushed. Well, I'm not
yeah,
pushing
exactly,
myself.
yeah, you got to push yourself, you got to push yourself, you got to push yourself. But it's not about allow yourself to be open, to receive, to arrive,
Mm,
yeah, to just be who you are and know that you're more than enough
yes.
in this moment. And when you allow that and and you arrive, and then it's like it's about expansion, not pushing. It's just opening up and letting that growth happen naturally, and going, oh, what more is available to me, what more am I here for, and that it is seeing it as a process of as we sort of grow and expand and do new things. It's like seeing it as a process of receiving, because that's actually what it is. It just, we don't,
Allowing yourself.
we flip it around. It's like, it's like giving more, but as we grow, we're actually receiving more, and in that process, naturally giving.
Yeah, the ripple
It
effect.
works. Yeah, but we twist it around the other way and think we've got to give, and then receive. But it's like we receive, and that allows us to give. Yeah.
Love that. Love it. Love it. So we've had a
Oh,
beautiful
so
question that we're
yeah.
really
Um,
excited to answer.
Yeah, it's but this question comes from a good friend of mine, well, a very dear friend of mine, Ruth, and I'd just like to say, I did not prompt her, in any way to ask this question, but both Kelly and I were really delighted when she did submit this question on Facebook, didn't she? Because, like you said, you wanted to kiss her, so did I, because it is such a great question. It is relevant to so many of us at this time, and it just fits in with this whole theme and intention of today's episodes around reconnecting to yourself, which is it's about getting back on track, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've got Ruth's question here, so I'm just going to read it out for the audience. So Ruth says, I deliberately started the year gently with a slow January. It became a full-on February, which I didn't plan for, and I feel like my good intentions have been thwarted in month 2. And then once I get off track, I feel like I stay off track. So getting myself back online feels like a hurdle. Can you help me to reset? and focus again. So yeah, so she's, you know, it was like I say, got off to that lovely gentle start. And I think, Ruth, one thing to say is just taking a moment here to kind of just give yourself, you know, to congratulate yourself, give yourself, you know, the recognition is the word I'm looking for. Give yourself some recognition there for the fact that you did take January slow, because you know this is something about getting back into this natural rhythm. In January we are still very much wintering, aren't we? And yet for some strange reason it's like this weird thing. It's like New Year's Eve, it's like, okay, you know, Veganuary, dry January, exercise, fitness program, weight loss, new you know, New Year's resolutions. Like,
Resolution.
yes, you know, start the year with a bang, start the year as you mean to, you know, go on. This is, you know, your fresh year, new beginning, blah, blah, blah. Go for it, go for it, go for it. And it's the last thing that any of us naturally feel like doing, but it's become this whole thing, and we get bombarded by it, don't we? Bombarded by it, by the media and advertising everything that comes at us in the new year. It's all, oh, new year, new you know, and it's almost like we feel under some obligation to start some regime, and that's it's so not natural. And it's just that that's the calendar that's been imposed on us. It's not the natural, you know, new year. The new year really begins with the spring equinox, and that was only what, about 3 weeks ago, was it? Three and a
Yeah,
half
about the
weeks ago, something like
23rd of
that.
March, something like that, wasn't it? Just before
Yeah, I think it's,
Easter.
I always get confused whether it's the 20th or the 21st. I think it's
First,
sort of on the
21st.
cusp between the two, depending on where you are. But so yeah, that's the real new year. But yeah, January, February, we're still very much wintering. And so, you know, Ruth honored that and allowed herself to do that. Yes, then okay, along came February, which was obviously, by the sound of it, just was full on, as she says. So clearly got very busy, and we were talking about external things going on that can just pull us away and take us off track. And so it can be a case of, yeah, all of a sudden we're responding to these external demands, we're supporting everyone else, we're giving to everyone else, we're sort of, you know, thinking on our feet and responding in the moment, in the situation, whatever. And then the space, you know, for ourselves is the thing that suffers,
Yeah.
the thing that gets compromised because we don't prioritize that, even though we meant to and we intended to. That is the thing that we will, you know, throw out first, isn't it? That's will the thing that's most important will suddenly will give it the least priority and be focused on everything else that's going on externally. And yeah, and then we're just off kilter then. And like we said, we've had all of this, but the repercussions of it so will continue, even if it was like a particular situation that we dealt with, or even if it was something really positive, like, you know, a brand new opportunity that came our way that we weren't expecting, but something that we had to make a decision about quickly or respond to, and throw ourselves into. And it could be all like so many positive things about that, but again, it still throws us off kilter, off track, because that's a kind of growth thing. And so it's just taking that pause and just that moment of like recognition of like, yeah, look what I did achieve. Look what I have managed. Look what I've been doing, whether I've been firefighting or expanding in a new direction or, you know, helping and serving other people. Just give yourself some recognition, some kudos for actually doing that, and know that that's all fine. But it doesn't mean that you have to continue at that level. You can now reclaim your space, you can reclaim your time. And I
Because the
think,
question is like asking about the future, how to reset the present before. But I just feel, as you said, Kate, you said to look at January in that light. And I feel with February, when I've tuned into that energy and I felt what was going on there, we were still shedding. We still weren't in the fire horse energy, and anything that was coming up to us in that time was to show us like where our boundaries were, how were we giving, like we've discussed, away sovereignty, purpose, like it might have just been that really needed to be highlighted, because it needed to go and it needed to be addressed. And at the same time, there was a
Yeah.
lot of like that sludginess in the collective bubbling up. So it was all happening in our lives as well. And I remember us saying, I'm not really sure how much skin we've still got to shed. And
Left to shed.
now what's happening here is that as you're saying, Ruth is now left with the aftermath of that period, and really, really struggling to get
Yeah.
on track. But what perception of on track is it for Ruth is probably what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Like, can
Yeah,
it
that's
be? Yeah, so it's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
where's the bar been set? And maybe you are on a track. It might not just be the one that you had in February, you know.
Yeah.
So meeting
Yeah.
yourself halfway with that might be a
Yeah.
start.
I think I think I think that's
Download.
right. Yeah. I love that. Yes, you are on a track. Yeah,
Yes,
but the track looks different,
there is a track.
to what you expected. Yeah, you're still a
Yeah.
track. You're still, on that journey. It's just not looking or feeling the way you thought it was going to,
Yes.
and that's okay. And like we said, it's not about suddenly pushing yourself. It's not about forcing to try
Mm-hmm.
and get
Yeah.
back to the picture, the track that you wanted to be on, or the way that you expected it to look. It's actually about it's about letting go of that resistance and just allowing yourself to just soften, energetically. It's about giving yourself that break, because you do reach a point where, because for whatever the circumstances were that kind of took you off in that different direction, that took your energy and your time. um it's not about, oh, I need to do more, I need to work harder, I need to push harder to get through this and get everything done and carve out some time for myself, and if I don't do that, then I'm somehow some kind of failure at some level,
Yes.
because it's not all going the way I expected. So it's just let go of all of that resistance and just allow yourself to feel whatever comes up. Is it sadness? Is it frustration? Is it resentment?
And whose
Is it
expectations are
fear?
these? Are they yours?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
is anybody
yeah,
else saying that you're off track? Like, have you missed
yeah,
your targets? Like, you know, um, I don't know Ruth's personal circumstances or whether she works for herself or she's got an employer, but we have all these intentions, but they're what we place on ourselves, aren't they, as well, in a way? So
yeah,
we just chuck a couple of things off. Let's
yeah. I
not
mean,
do those things anymore.
really, as I say, because she's my closest friend. She is going through transition. We
Yeah,
can all see that, and she is going through some big sort of major changes.
yeah.
So it's not in any way surprising at all that she's feeling like this. And I know that if this was somebody else and it would be me, then she would be holding space for me with that compassion. She would not be saying to me, well, just push yourself harder, or just do this. She would make some helpful suggestions, because that's how we operate together as friends, and we do sort of reflect things back at each other. But it's, yeah, she wouldn't be saying, well, just try harder,
Yeah,
or anything like that.
yeah,
But there might be some practical suggestions, and
yes.
sometimes it is about, well, like, what's, if, I mean, that's a good way to look at it. If this, if what your experience is was actually a friend who was experiencing it, what would you actually say to them?
Yeah.
What guidance and support might you offer them if this was somebody else experiencing what you're currently experiencing? And I think that's a good way, because it helps to just take that little step back, and it helps us to move into compassion, because I think generally we're often way kinder
Yes.
to everyone else than we are to ourselves,
I think we
you
can all
know
acknowledge that we don't want February to happen again. And I know things are very
yeah,
unpredictable, but you do have control over certain areas of that. So were you giving away your time or your power or your the giving? So it's like just mentally setting those boundaries. So if it was an external person or loved one, you don't necessarily have to speak like, next time that happens, I'm not doing it. You could say it to yourself and stand, and then that situation might never happen again. But when it does, you're prepared. You've got a strategy. And even just telling yourself those things, it changes your energetic field. And this is neuroscience now, which again, good friend Bianca loves the science behind the spirituality, and it's you're vibrating that out into your energy field. So therefore you're not going to get somebody, when I say taking advantage of you, like we've always got goodness to give, and if you are an empathetic soul, that people can feed off that, can't they? But you by saying nope, not having that again, then that probably won't ever rise again. So it's just maybe reflecting on February a little bit, acknowledging that, setting some guidelines, and that could even just be the reset part of the question. Right, okay.
And
I'm at this
and
point.
maybe sorry, go on. Sorry.
Like the reset is like, what happened there? Where am I now? Okay, I'm standing in my own sovereignty. I acknowledge that I maybe made a wrong decision in that moment. Have the compassion, as Kate suggested, and the focus again, we've just talked about, what does my track look like now? What do I want it to look like? Because we have a choice, which is amazing. We get to choose.
And sometimes, it just feels like we've been a passenger on a runaway train, doesn't it? But now we can take that pause a moment and go, okay, well, I want to be the driver of this train and choosing that track, going back to the track analogy. And I'm gonna step back into my power and start sort of steering this the way that I want to go, and seeing that again as that opportunity to do so. But it's having to get back in touch and give yourself that space and that grace, and not push and not rush, and recognize that you need that time and space to be able to reconnect with yourself, with your heart, with your emotions, with what's really going on, and going, okay, where is it I want to go next? Not like, oh, what should I have done? Where ought I be? But just like, okay, this is where I'm at. Like you said, acknowledging this is where I'm at right now, stepping back into my power. Where do I want to go next? Because sometimes we could, what feels good for me, and what maybe, we might have that whole list of things that we want to be getting on with. We might be having all of those ideas, and as those ideas drop in, or those things, or oh, I could do this, or I would really love to do that, or I'd like to develop that into this, whatever. Make a note, don't lose them. Make a note of them, put those notes somewhere safe, but choose just one thing for now, just as a reset. Choose that one thing to make your priority, and give that most of your focus and intention. Now, if we
that is literally bringing your power back, because you're like, it's that and we can the focus. Everything else is there, and I acknowledge you and whoever that might be, family, ideas, jobs, but this is what I've chosen. Coherent over chaos. Like, that's the chaos. Your mind's obviously quite busy. You sound like you have intuitive downloads, lots of amazing ideas, which but they all need grounding. They can't just be, and then we can get up into our head once we feel that we're on a bit more of a settled foundations. Because if it's all happening and get rocky, something all again.
But that's the thing. Sometimes we have all of those ideas going on, but we're sort of not jotting them down, or we're kind of jotting them down, but maybe just as a to-do list, which again just applies that pressure. So it's just noting, making a note of ideas and things you'd like to do, things you could be doing, but not getting too bogged down in the how the hell am I going to do that? When am I going to do, but just like I say, just focusing on one thing, it's a very priority, and just making sure you just don't lose those other things, because you can bring those pieces back together when the time is right. And then that's where you've got that space and time, that's where you put your focus, just on that one thing, and choose something that just feels good. Don't go from the should or ought. If it's coming from the level of I really ought to or really should do that, then that's going to feel heavy. It's going to get back into that pushing energy. So no, we want to be in like flow. We want to be receiving. We want to get back into balance and what feels good, what feels joyful. And it might seem really quite, counterintuitive, whatever that is thing that we choose as the priority. But if that's what your heart is telling you to focus on, then just trust it and go with it, and just try it, even if it's just for probably a whole lunar month would be ideal, but 28 days to 30 days, something like that. But if not, then give yourself at least a couple of weeks and say, this is what I'm going to focus on, and I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm just going to keep coming back to it, keep making it my priority. I think the thing is, when if a situation has happened, perhaps like you say, and especially if it is with someone close to us, if it's loved ones are involved in this, then it can be difficult, because we start to project into the future. We start worrying, about, well, what if it happens again? What if they need us again? What if it's going to just keep on taking my time? What if this situation is going to get worse? Is it somebody who's like ill or elderly, for instance, and it's not something that's a situation that's kind of necessarily going to resolve itself as such. It might just get more difficult in the future. But projecting that far and catastrophizing and worrying about everything that hasn't happened yet, that might happen, keeps us in that energy of disconnect, keeps us like sort of frozen and not able to give our energy and time to what really matters to us. And so I think it's just recognizing that there's no point worrying about the things that haven't happened yet, but there is perhaps some point in maybe just having some conversations and getting some planning in place for support, maybe just doing some research, because researching things that could help in the future, should they be needed, and knowing where to go to seek that support, can be helpful, can help to lay some of that, anxiety to rest. And just maybe just having, it doesn't have to be a detailed plan, it doesn't have to be a full-on project, you don't have to have all the answers, all the I's dotted or all the T's crossed or anything like that. Just have an outline idea of what's available, and maybe even having a difficult conversation, but maybe it's better to have that difficult conversation now before things escalate or worsen, just to get everybody on the same page, but also to make your own sort of boundaries clear, and you're not being selfish in having those boundaries there. You cannot just sacrifice yourself on the hill of somebody else's need, like constantly, especially if it looks like it's something that's going to be a prolonged situation. Yes. And so the support and advice is always out there. You need to have those healthy boundaries. You need to take care of yourself first and foremost, because if at some point you are helping to care and support somebody else, you're not going to be able to do it very well if you're not caring and supportive for yourself, and if you're not honoring those boundaries and honoring your own energy and allowing time for the stuff that really, really, like I say, lights you up, gives you joy, gives you that sense of fulfillment and growth and purpose.
On Monday, I pulled a card for myself, and it was boundaries, and it was telling me that every time you say yes to something that you should be saying no to, it's like you're giving yourself a part away, your energetic part of yourself. So then it calls more of the same in. And you're right, just as I said before, and Kate's saying, like, having a little plan, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're telling yourself, the universe, whoever is in your field, these are my gateway, this is where I go, and I don't feel comfortable stepping over this, because this is all I'm able to give, and any more of that, then it's going to start having an effect on me, which it did.
Yeah.
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 It can feel like tough love at times, but I'm myself a carer to disabled children, and my husband's autistic, and like you can just get sucked into that whole sort of what ifs, and oh, I can't possibly do that because of X, and then you just end up like this, you're a shell of your former self. You don't have your own identity, you don't have any, you can just
Yeah.
be given. It's tough going to pull it back because you feel selfish.
Yeah, yeah. And yet sometimes these circumstances can actually happen to just, it might be like, what feels like it's completely thrown us off actually can be an opportunity. It can be one of those life lessons, karmic opportunities, whatever you want to call it, that we've come here to learn. It could be asking you to be more flexible, learning to be less rigid, letting go of the must, shoulds, oughts,
Yeah.
all of that. It can be an opportunity to learn more about yourself and what you're actually capable of. It can be an opportunity to learn to honor yourself, and honor your boundaries, put those boundaries in place if you don't have them. It can be an opportunity to do that. It can be an opportunity for you to like connect with yourself deeper and go, actually, why doesn't this feel good?
Mm.
Why do I feel off kilter? What's happening for me, and to go within, because we can get out of the habit of doing that. So it's just, it's not always the dire situation that it might, or the derailment that it looks like, on the surface. It's often there's some sort of opportunity in there, and it's
Yeah.
always a learning opportunity. And it's always like, how do I take what I'm learning from this and keep, applying that as I move forward in a way that benefits me as well as those around me.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, Ruth, I know that you will be watching this at some point, but if you don't feel comfortable popping anything in the comments, then please do let Kate know once you've had time to sit with this and work with anything that we've suggested. Hopefully some of it will get you feeling back online. Because when I read back online, I thought, oh, this person needs to get visibility online, but then I was like, no, it's back online with yourself and feeling into yourself. So I know that it will happen. It's just allowing yourself some time and space to tune in
Yeah,
and see what feels good, because that's what it's all
yeah,
about, that feeling of joy and pleasure and happiness, and being able to feel more ready to deal with the external things, because obviously it might not be our own family, it could be what's happening every time we switch the TV on or look at our social media. That can get us off track, can't it? I know
yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
avoid the increasing cost of living posts and things, because I'm like, oh, that definitely gets you sucked right in, you know.
yeah.
So
So yeah, Ruth, my darling. So
yeah,
give yourself that recognition, for what you've done and what you've managed to do, what you've achieved this year. And rather than focusing on what you didn't get to do, just give yourself that recognition and just allow yourself to remember and feel that you're exactly where you are meant to be. So just allow yourself to be where you're at now, and know that you get to decide where you want to go moving forward and what that's going to look like for you, what you want to look like, what you want it to look like. I can't get my words out. What you want it to look like, my love, and how you want that to feel. And just allow yourself that opportunity and give yourself the space to connect in that. And remember, it's about opening up to receive. It's about expansion. It's not about pushing. Okay.
love that. We're going to listen to our
Oh,
own advice, aren't we, Kate? Because I was going to
yes.
listen back to an
Yes.
episode by a mentor a few months ago when I was working on my rebirth, and they said, watch one of yours and Kate's episodes and see the value. And I was listening to our advice, Kate, and I was thinking, oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, maybe I should. So I think we'll be definitely, thank you so much, Ruth, for highlighting certain things that we all need to take on board. Absolutely.
Absolutely. It is so that's why I'm so grateful for the question, because like, yes, it's relevant to everyone. And when I say everyone, that includes you and me, Kelly, doesn't it? We're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Um, but with that in mind, and with this theme of reconnection, I just wanted to tune in and see if I could channel some light language, and in through the light language, bring through some healing. And that healing is just going to help us just to like let go of the energy of all the things that are making us feel disconnected, all of the distractions, all of the weight of that, to just call back that energy that we may have given away unwittingly or even intentionally. But we can call it back now because it does belong to us. And just to feel more integrated and whole and settled and get back in touch with ourselves. So it's just going to be a short little channeling. But if you're listening or watching, just give yourself a moment. If you can, put both feet on the floor to connect with the ground, just maybe even just moving them a little, just feeling that reconnection, that groundedness. If you wish, you can imagine you've got energetic roots going down out through the soles of your feet and just anchoring you there, anchoring you down into the earth and connecting to Mother Earth, or Gaia as we call her, connecting to Gaia's nourishing, nurturing energy, feeling that connection and feeling yourself now surrounded with a pure white light, pure white divine light. Keeps you safe, that keeps you protected, and that holds you in love, compassion, and truth. Ishnasa tiakora kusana eratia kana sokoroto siana shesia ea. Kusuna shiana sakora. Sisina siakra tukusushuna. Esitia ratia kianaso. Osuna eraria. Eratia corona eashia. Una sisitia kora. Oso kunusiara eashia. Asa tukusuna e. Nasata tiakora kutusususu. Ina sisisia tia tia kia kiasa. Ona sisi tia kia kiasa. Eshiana sasa tukususu. Osuna era tia kina sisi tia kiasa. Ina sisi tia kusususuna. Shiana sa e. Ah, cool. Ah, sisia. Oh. Ina sisia. Kusuna ea. Sisi so sukutusuna ena sisi tiara koso. Enasa sitiara tukususu shuna ea. Just feeling back into your body now. Being aware of your body. Your feet on the floor if that's where they are. Just give your fingers and toes a little wriggle. And when you're ready, softly blink your eyes open.
That was beautiful, Kate, and perfectly timed. I had to turn my camera and audio off. Somebody came to the door, but it didn't disrupt.
I didn't know till the end because
I'm certainly going to re-listen because I know how powerful your light language is. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And for everyone out there watching, whether, just allow yourself to receive, give yourself permission to receive that transmission, that frequency and that healing in that light language, and know that you are worthy of that and that you are watching this and listening for a reason. And know that you are allowed to accept that healing and to call back your energy and to reconnect with yourself.
Oh, thank you so much for everyone listening, or watching, I should say. I hope you've enjoyed everything that we've had to say. Please let us know if there's a topic or anything that you'd like us to cover. You don't necessarily have to submit a question in the comments, and we'd love you to subscribe and share with anybody that you think might benefit from just having some time just to come back to themselves and come away from the chaos and noise and everything that wants to disconnect us. Just yeah, that's the intention that we've set for this space. So we're really
Yeah.
excited to be back on track, because we had to have a little word with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. It's like word of the day is track, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so so thank you to all of you for watching, for listening, for receiving. Huge thank you to Ruth for being open, for trusting and submitting that question. We really value that so much, and I hope we've helped today with our answers. And yes, as Kelly says, please do subscribe, do give us a little thumbs up, and please do share, because by doing so, we're here, Kelly and I, and all of you, we're here to share our light, whether that's something that you're aware of yet or not. That's what we're all here to do, to bring more light to the world and to help raise the consciousness, raise the frequency, and move us all into that beautiful 5D realm and next level. We're here to evolve, and sharing is literally caring, as they say, because it does help to spread that light. So thank you.
That's lovely, and we will see you all again very soon. We promise, pinky promise, don't we, Kate? Because it lights us up as well.
Yeah, we are back.
Yeah.
Your spiritual agony aunts are here. I'm just going to take a moment now to close the sacred space before we say goodbye and end this episode. And again, if you want to lower your gaze or close your eyes, if it's safe and comfortable to do so, please feel free to do that now. And we ask that as we gently close the sacred space, we all give thanks for everything that has been shared and received here today. May the light that we've called in continue to surround and support each one of us, integrating any healing or insight that has unfolded here today. We release all that no longer serves us, and we seal in this space now in love and gratitude and divine protection. And so it is. Thank you.
Wonderful, right? So that's everything from us for today. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whenever you're watching, that you have a beautiful day, evening, and we can't wait to be back very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Lots of love to you all.